had given money to. He loaned him money. So Imam Hanifah got up and he sat outside of the shade and he sat in the sun. And he said, why are you sitting outside of the shade? And he said, because I fear that Allah will consider it riba. Allah would consider it interest if I benefit from His shade as well as the money that He's going to pay me back with. SubhanAllah, I don't even want to benefit from His shade, you know. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala charged me with that on the Day of Judgment. There are many, many different things. There are so many things, incidents with his money. But I'll just mention two more, then inshallah ta'ala we'll move on. There's a narration from Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu that Ali was asked, how much money do you need to survive? Like, how much money do you need to do well? So he said 4,000 dirhams. All right, 4,000 dirhams. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he would always count his money to 4,000 dirhams, and anything above that, he would give it away in charity. So he took that principle of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu to only keep with him 4,000 dirhams and to, you know, support students of knowledge, to feed the poor, and so on and so forth. Now that's obviously something very, very hard to do. But it's just to mention his virtues here. And one of the most beautiful things I'll mention here as well with his sadaqah, he used to tell the people that he'd give money to, he would say to them, spend to fulfill your needs. Go ahead and fulfill your needs. And don't thank anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't thank anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, I did not give you anything of my own possession. This wasn't my wealth that I gave to you. But it's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was transferred to you through me. And he said, this is the profit of your own spending. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, this money will come to you because of something that you did, or because of Allah's mercy upon you. I was just the means, like I'm just the middleman in this transaction. So don't thank me and don't praise me. This is from Allah to you. And Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he actually said, you know, when you give sadaqah, don't see yourself as giving charity to a person, but instead see that Allah is using you to deliver money to someone that Allah has decreed for them. And you're just blessed to be in the process, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used you as the middleman. So now we talk about the development of the imam, the sheikh. People in the marketplace back then, as many people do now, do you think that they just sit there and they just not talk about anything, that they just sit there and look at each other? No, people in the souk used to talk about religion and politics, right? And if they had cricket or soccer or football back then, I'm pretty sure they would talk about that stuff too, right? But religion and politics, even if they knew nothing about it, these were discussions. You know, people would sit and talk about the news of the day, right? And, you know, they didn't have cell phones to distract them and things of that sort. So they had no one to talk to but each other. Okay, so it's not like everyone was sitting behind his booth. No, they were talking to each other. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah gained a reputation from speaking to people and so on and so forth, and you know, that being a very bright and intelligent man, being someone that was good at debating the issues of the day. He was very much in tune with what was going on with the religion, with the politics. And by the way, these are turbulent times. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, before he's a scholar, this was the time of Hajjaj. Hajjaj killing people, you know, wreaking havoc on the ummah. One of the men that Abu Hanifa met as a child and loved, Sa'id ibn al-Jubayr, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sa'id ibn al-Jubayr was so great that Ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhu, someone came in from Mecca. He's like, Sa'id ibn al-Jubayr is in Kufa. Why are you coming here? Sa'id ibn al-Jubayr revolted against Hajjaj and was murdered by Hajjaj. So politics was a hefty topic. It was a heavy topic in the souk, and they would also talk about religion. And so now you have the first influence in Imam Abu Hanifa's life outside of his parents. You have a man by the name of Amir ibn Sharahil al-Shabi. Amir ibn Sharahil al-Shabi. Al-Imam al-Shabi. Imam al-Shabi rahimahullah is a man. Al-Shabi, what does Shabi mean in the Arabic language? What does Sha'b mean? People, right? So what would Sha'bi mean? He's good with people. Sha'bi literally would mean you're popular. So his nickname was the popular Imam. He was a popular Imam. Why was he so popular? He was hilarious. All right, he was really, really funny. He was really knowledgeable. He was a great scholar of fiqh, great scholar of hadith, very sharp man, very intelligent man. But he was really, really easygoing and funny and popular. SubhanAllah, he got along with everybody. So everyone, you know, when they would say which Imam, they would say Al-Shabi, right? The one that everyone loves. SubhanAllah, which shows you again, the influence that's going to be in Abu Hanifa's life is going to be a very healthy influence. Imam Al-Shabi is a man that would always joke around, even in his fatawa, even in the way that he responded to his questions. Someone asked him, you know, there's a very famous question. Someone asked him, what was the name of Shaitan's wife? What's Iblis's wife's name? You talk about, ilm la yanfa', knowledge that's of no benefit. What is it going to help you to know the name of Shaitan's wife? All right? So Imam Al-Shabi said, I don't know, he didn't invite me to the wedding. So he was hilarious. And subhanAllah, multiple fatwa from him, that you can even see the humor in everything he responds to, there's humor in it. SubhanAllah, he always throws in something there to make it lighthearted. One time he was asked, one time he was asked while he was walking with his wife, they said, are you a Sha'bi? He said, no, she's a Sha'bi. She's more popular than I am, right? She gets along with people better than I do. And subhanAllah, he used to joke around with his family, he used to joke around with people. One time he wanted to be left alone in the house, so he drew a circle on the door because people would just keep coming to his house and bothering him. So when he's trying to study, everyone's bothering him, right? So here's what he did. He drew a circle on the door and he told his wife, he said, if anyone comes here and asks for me, point to the circle and say he's not here right now. That way you won't be lying, right? Just say he's not here right now. All right? Don't say he's not here. Just say he's not here right now so I could have my time to study and to prepare. So Shabi rahimahullah is walking in the souq one day. He's walking in the marketplace and he sees Imam Abu Hanifa. And Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is not known to any circles of knowledge. He's never studied fiqh. He's just a really honest, good merchant, young man, 20, 21 years old. So, he's a really just handsome, bright young man. He sees him having conversations with the people in the souq. He sees him debating. And Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah says, مررت يوما على الشعب وهو جالس قد دعاني فقال لي, that one time I was walking in the souq and I saw a Sha'bi and he was sitting down and he called me فقال لي, and he said to me, إلى من تختلف? Who do you go to? Who do you go to? إلى من تختلف? Who do you go to for your issues? Who do you go to study with, and so on and so forth? And Imam Abu Hanifa didn't understand the question. So he said, أختلف إلى الأسواق, like I go to the marketplaces, right? He said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He said, I'm talking about min al-ulama, from the scholars, like who do you study with? And Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said, nobody. So he said to him, لا تغفل, don't live your life like a heedless man. وعليك بالنظر في العلم, and focus on learning beneficial knowledge. ومجالسة العلماء, and sitting with the scholars. فإني أرى فيك يقظة وحركة. I see in you ambition and energy. You have in you special qualities. Don't waste your time. Like, you need to go and learn. You need to go sit with scholars. You're a brilliant man. Don't let your mind go to waste. And he keeps on praising him and encouraging him and saying to him, look, go study and make something of yourself. You don't belong here just as a silk trader. SubhanAllah, look at how one person's encouragement can lead to a complete change of life, a complete change of heart. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said, فَوَقَعَ فِي قَلْبِي مِنْ قَوْلِهِ, that what he said really entered into my heart. It penetrated my heart. When he said to me, look, you have a scholar of that stature look at you and say something about you, subhanAllah, a few words, someone that you admire, someone that you look up at you and look to you and say, you have potential. It means the world to you, right? SubhanAllah, Abu Hanifa has the most popular Imam of his time, Al-Shabi, saying to him, I can see things in you. And that's why the scholars say, qawlun ma'roof. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a good word in the Quran, how it can be better than sadaqah. Some of the scholars, they said, qawlun ma'roof. Sometimes you could encourage someone. You could say nice words to someone, whether it's your child or a little brother or a friend. You encourage someone to do something. And because of that, they become great people and become houses of sadaqah, charity, and leave beneficial knowledge, and all of that goes back to you. Meaning the entire legacy of Abu Hanifa goes back to Al-Shabi for that one conversation in the marketplace. Just like, if you remember, Ishaq ibn Rahaway with Al-Bukhari, saying, I wish someone would make a book of hadith and make it easy for the people. And he goes and authors Sahih al-Bukhari as a result of that. That's all his hasanat, that's all his good deeds. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said, it really got to me. So I said to him, who should I go to? He said, well, what do you want to study? He said, well, what is there to study? He said, you could study hadith. Imam Abu Hanifa said, what do people of hadith do? He said, well, they look at the narrators and they can, see if they're trustworthy or not. They scrutinize and so on and so forth, scrutinize chains, they memorize and so on and so forth. He said, what else is there? He said, there's tafsir, Quran, talking about the Quran, explaining the ma'ani al-Quran. He said, well, what does a person who does that do? He said, he'll learn and he'll teach and He'll sit in the masjid, he'll give lectures about Quran and so on and so forth. Imam Hanifah rahimahullah said, what else is there? Now, he didn't ask him about al-i'tiqad, about creed and theology. And I'm going to mention that in a moment because that is very, very, very significant about his personality. The ideologies and so on and so forth of that time. He didn't ask him about aqeedah. He said, what else is there? He said, fiqh.